Hey everybody, welcome back to The Bearded Truth. I'm with my co-host and friend Faren Wise. We are back covering the Diddy scandal and trial. So currently we are on week 2 of the Diddy trial. So we're gonna jump in, Faren. Let's do it. There are new victims. We will talk about his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura just a little bit, but we have some male prostitutes that are testifying this week.
They did testify.
They testified this week.
Yes.
One is known as the Punisher.
The Punisher.
Yeah. He wrote a book.
What was the name of the book? You read that. I didn't.
I didn't read the book.
But it's about how he got a penis implant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something about meat in the freezer. I don't know. I didn't really dig that much into that. I just found it. I was trying to eat my dinner and it just kind of threw me off. Okay. I was like looking over the case, trying to eat my chicken salad.
No, from what I know, he was a stripper. And he was just hired to come on to set up a sexy scene. And then Diddy would be behind a table with almost like a Muslim scarf over him, kind of, over his face. You couldn't see his face, but he was naked and
They did their thing.
He was doing things to himself as he was watching, but he would set up a sexy scene. And then sometimes they would have sex, and then Puffy would watch, and he would tell them, "This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do." And he said it would last for up to 10 hours or even days.
Yeah. So just to be clear, there so far in the trial, we've had violence involved. We've had threats, explicit threats against people if they talk about what's happened. We've had prostitution and transportation to engage in prostitution, transporting someone, aka a prostitute, across state lines and then paying them for sex. And then we've had coercion. And so just to be clear, like when the first week, there was a lot of talk about, oh, this is nothing. This is a nothing burger. It's just a domestic violence case, which, by the way, domestic violence alone isn't nothing. But the point is that where's the evidence of the drug use? Where's the evidence of the coercion and the sex trafficking and the prostitution? And so that has been coming out a little bit more and more as we go further into the trial. But
we're still so early into it.
We're very early into it. But a lot of people said, hey, well, look, Cassie's text messages implied that she wanted this, that she wanted the freak-offs to happen, that she enjoyed them. But what I am seeing is that she had Stockholm syndrome, which, me and you know a little bit about human trafficking. It's very common when you're a victim of something like this to be extremely afraid. And so I think the text messages to me were just like her saying, hey, I'm going to go along with all this because I don't want you to hurt me. I don't want you to leak any of this footage. That's what I took away.
But the thing with Stockholm syndrome also is they really love their abuser. They really do. And I think she genuinely loved him. And she even said that. And I think that she had this warped view of what love was. Mm-hmm. And so I think she was willing to do whatever. And I guess she didn't really understand how far whatever would be.
Yeah, and how far is a lot. Like, it's really gross. And some people are like, oh, it's just like, it's consensual, sexual engagements or whatever. It's like, no, these freak-offs were truly grotesque and abusive and violent and disgusting. So I think that like that kind of harm is not trivial, and it takes a long, long time for someone to suffer that kind of abuse to recover from that, So we know that there are a lot more victims that are going to step forward.
I hope.
But what do we know about these male prostitutes? Like the Punisher and all these other guys that testified, like, was there anything explosive?
No, they just told us, what it was like, what happened, basically. And they didn't really ask to be paid. They just got paid. They basically just said they were happy to be there. But they were paid between $1,200, $2,000. They did see some abuse happen. And when the defense said, well, why didn't you say anything? And he was like, I was scared for my life. I thought he was going to hurt me too.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say anything. And then we just continued on. But then after I couldn't perform, he let me go.
Yeah, and I think one of them actually got paid $6,000, which is significant. And so, yes, that is the definition of prostitution.
Yes.
So I think like as we move forward in the trial, what we're seeing are like these little check marks besides all the accusations and all the alleged things that are being said about Diddy, like one by one. But what I really want to see like, I want to see names of celebrities, because these freak-offs were not just like him down in his basement with Cassie and some prostitutes. I really don't think that's where it ended, because this guy had some major issues. And for a guy that's that powerful, has all these big celebrity parties, and we know all the rumors, we know about some of these parties and what they entail allegedly. I don't think it was just Diddy down in that basement. So I would love to know who else
They're
was
dropped here
participating.
and there, but nothing. They've had a special agent come on who looked into his computer. I was really let down by that. I'm hoping they go more into detail, but I know they let him go. They just said, "Oh, well, we weren't able to get all the data, but we were able to get like 80% of it, and that there was a dent on the computer. Nothing about what was on the computer."
See, I just feel like, is this breadcrumbing?
It feels like I'm supposed to hear about all these young girls who were raped, who were filmed and raped and filmed, and I all these people that were involved, and I don't see that. I mean, I hear people like Usher was mentioned, but it was he saw Cassie get beat and did nothing. That's how his name was mentioned.
Yeah, and so I just kind of want to, from my perspective, because when we started looking into this whole thing, the main civil action that we were looking at was civil action 24-1457 by plaintiff Rodney Jones, right here. And that was seen before a New York judge. And the judge, he didn't, some of the articles are saying the judge dismissed this entire case. That's not true. He dismissed, I think, 5 of the 9 counts, 5 of the 9 things that Rodney Jones alleged about Diddy. So I don't know what was like fully supported or what, besides his sexual abuse by Diddy. I think the judge said there was enough evidence of that. So the same thing that Cassie is saying, it's mirroring what happened supposedly to Rodney Jones with sexual abuse.
As far as we know, he's not. I mean, we haven't seen him be a witness yet.
Well, his case was in New York, so I think they've had that trial. From what I read today, and I'll double check that. But I just think it's a little weird that one was so hush-hush, because he was the one that was dropping celebrity names.
Yeah.
And he was also dropping information about Karam, the assistant, who was getting underage girls allegedly, and drugs allegedly. He had a lot of information. And so Candace Owens and Ian Carroll, they had an interesting video that was released this week. She just had a baby, and she came out. She's like, I want to talk about the Diddy case real quick, and then go back and take care of my baby for 2 weeks, and I'll see you guys later. But she came out just to discuss this particular thing. And she said, where's Rodney Jones? Like, why isn't anybody talking about him? Where are all the names?
He could still come.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm curious about it. And so I want to segue from like that to make a point about his civil case, because basically in his case, besides some of those celebrity names that were dropped, he alleges that there were underage girls that were being trafficked. And he says that really big names like Lucian Grange and Motown Records, he alleged that they were helping funnel cash where Diddy could pay some of his like co-conspirators.
What does that have to do with the trial?
I'm just saying like,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just saying like where this is big. Okay. So we have prostitutes like the Punisher and domestic violence stuff, but like I want names, and I do think that there's a lot of suppression right now with a lot of the harder a lot of the things that are being alleged against them that are a lot more in depth, like sex trafficking minors, drugging minors. I think that's what everybody's been waiting on.
I haven't seen anything in this case so far that would tell me that that's coming.
Right. And then the one attorney, I'm just saying, I just find this interesting. And the one attorney who is really spearheading this and leading the charge, and I know you have opinions on this, but Tony Busby, he kind of has been attacked in a way of like where they're trying to take away his license. So
I think they literally did in a certain part of New York.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to, I think everybody should go watch his interview that he just had with Piers Morgan, and he says, just as an update, because he had 120 victims originally, one that was 9 years old when that 9-year-old was allegedly hurt by Diddy. And so this is like, you have your main attorney coming out against Diddy, and also this guy was also sued by Jay-Z. And so I would anticipate that someone leading the charge would be, this person would try to be removed off the chessboard, like get this guy off because we don't want him playing against us, kind of thing. So what he told Piers was that, hey, they filed grievances against me and basically attacked my ability to practice in the Southern District of New York. While he withdrew from multiple cases, he says that the cases are still ongoing and that the victims being represented are being represented by his firm still. So that was encouraging to me. It's like, okay, you had 120 victims, you currently have about 100, and they're still being represented. And he called all these grievances against him a sideshow. He mentioned it about 3 times. Of like, this really is a sideshow. He seemed very calm, very confident, like that they were going to take care of this, because he didn't seem to me to be upset or shaken, even in the least, even the slightest. And so I kind of watched that, because I was like, a guilty person wouldn't come on to Piers Morgan and start, talking. And so he said, we have 40 cases filed. And
yeah, but he's a showboat lawyer, so he would.
Okay.
Because he likes the lights, he likes the attention. He's that type of lawyer.
Yeah, I didn't catch that from him. So, again, like, we can agree to disagree. I don't catch that from him. I think he's, wealthy, and has connections, and he's good at what he does. But I would expect that you'd have to be really good at what you do if you're going up against someone like Diddy and big Hollywood names.
No, I think he's a legit lawyer. He has legit victims. I don't think he's this little meek and mild.
Oh, yeah, well, he's not, but he's a bulldog too. So I just needed to highlight that, because he just kind of was discarded, and people are not even, but he had so many names and cases that were filed that his firm was handling, significant ones. And so I'm just wanting to bring light to that. And I'm going to plug a link for Piers Morgan, and we'll segue into something else real quick. I just want to mention that he said we have 40 cases filed and 60 to 70 that will be filed in other jurisdictions outside of New York, primarily California, which is interesting. And he said they're still representing 100 victims that allege that Diddy assaulted them. And so he just says that a lot of what we're seeing right now in these first 2 weeks of the trial, the threats, the prostitution, the coercion, he said that is mirrored through all of these cases and these victims that they're going to be representing. And then Piers asked him about, we all know that Jay-Z sued Tony Busby, and I found that really interesting. But he said that they didn't do anything except send Jay-Z a letter simply stating the allegations, and Jay-Z responded back like with this lawsuit against Busby and against even the female victim, the alleged female victim. He sued her too.
I think the victim wanted money.
Okay, but this is what's important to note, is that she didn't back down from what she's saying at all. Now, we know that there's fake victims and false reports, but like there's also true ones too. So I just think like, okay, let's see where that goes and how it's connected to Diddy, because I think a lot of these Hollywood celebrities were all in bed together, metaphorically and not metaphorically speaking, and I just think like this is also connected in some way to the Epstein files. So I just want to see like this come to a head and go well beyond like male prostitutes and domestic violence and all that. All that's terrible, but I think there's a lot more to unpack. So I'm really curious if more information is going to come to light, or if it's going to be buried.
It's been underwhelming thus far.
A little bit.
Big props to Cassie for getting up there in front of the whole world and talking about what happened to her and what she went through. I can't imagine what that was like to have to get up there and do that.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, what do you think if there were like 2 or 3 top highlights from this week?
I thought it was interesting that Cassie's mom got on the stand, and the defense chose not to cross-examine her. What is it called? To be
cross-examined by.
Yeah. No, they just let her go. Do you know what she said in her
No,
testimony?
tell me.
So Diddy said, "Hey, I'm gonna put out 2 videos of your daughter having sex," and just kept saying that. And she was like, and so they took out a loan, an equity loan or something. It was $20,000 just so he wouldn't do that. And so they paid him $20,000 for those tapes. And so that's what she talked about, was the abuse that she saw, that she saw on her daughter, the bruises and everything, and they took pictures, and that she had to take out a loan, like some sort of home loan, to pay for those tapes.
Okay, interesting.
And the defense didn't cross-examine her.
They must know that there's enough evidence stacked against them. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I thought they could at least get up there and try to sow some sort of doubt of something, you know?
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
Yeah. I liked the friend because the friend, I mean, we can't see their expressions or anything, but she didn't want to be there. She didn't. She was an ex-friend. So what happened is she had seen Cassie get beat many times. Mm-hmm. She had begged Cassie to leave. Cassie wouldn't do it. And then one day she was hit in the back of the head by a wooden hanger by Diddy.
Oh, jeez.
And she got a concussion. She was throwing up, dizzy, all the things. She says, that's where I draw the line on friendship, is when abuse happens. And so they sent me an NDA and paid me money. And I've never seen her since. I don't think,
wow.
Yeah, until recently, yeah. So they haven't talked since then.
That's crazy. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
If someone hits you upside the head with a hanger,
yeah,
I'm done with that person.
Yeah, 100%. But her friend did sign
at the same time,
NDA.
Cassie was Stockholm syndrome, shall I say? She was. I don't know where she was mentally. I can't understand.
How long has she been married to this new guy? Like,
I mean, they have 3 children, I think.
yeah, okay, well, that's good.
She's pregnant with her 3rd, I think.
So there's a good amount of space between
Yeah.
what happened. And,
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, so she's been very bold about it. And I know that you and I spoke last week when she first started testifying, because we were like thinking names, and because the attorney said, hey, big names are coming out, human trafficking stuff. So we were like ready. And then, so
We got the Punisher.
Yeah, we got the Punisher instead. Oh my gosh. Like,
I mean, but they did set the scene of what the freak-offs were like. I thought the freak-offs were like all like dozens of people in one bed, all these things, but it wasn't anything like that, actually.
Yeah, and so my theory is like that did happen. And my theory is like, okay, I'm just going to say it. Like Jen's theory. My theory is that like there are a lot of celebrities involved, a lot of names, possibly even like politicians, and that this was Epstein-styled videos where there was blackmail involved, and there was a lot of crime with drug use and racketeering and prostitution and human trafficking and all this stuff. And from what I have looked into, if we go down these rabbit trails, is you get into like some type of weird satanic occultic rituals and stuff like that. So I would not be shocked or surprised if that came to light, is what I'm hoping. If there's enough victims that are able to speak, that are given a platform where the media covers it, where that comes to light, kind of like the stuff that Allie Carter is always testifying about, and a few other girls and women who are alleging things. Even like Virginia Giuffre, she was recently hit by a bus and suicided herself, supposedly. But she was like the main eyewitness and voice, most prominent one against Epstein. And I found that really interesting that this happened to her right before the Diddy trial, and right as everyone's pushing for the release of the Epstein lists. Very interesting. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. So I think if she had a voice and people like Allie Carter were testifying and others, you would get a ton of names and information. And that's what I'm hoping to see.
Well, I'm thinking about a celebrity interview. You know who Amber Rose is, right?
No.
Oh, she's even gone on stage and spoke for Trump many times at his rallies. But she dated Kanye for a very long time. And so she's been to a lot of Diddy parties. And so she was on a podcast. I think it was Shannon Sharp's, maybe. I think it was somebody's. I don't remember. I have to link it in. But she was like, I've been to, I can't even count how many like what are the name of the parties? Not the freak offs, but the white.
The what were they called? The white parties? They weren't called that. Huh?
Something white parties. But nevertheless, she says, I never saw a freak off. Never. And she wasn't lying. You could tell. She was like, I'm genuinely telling you, I never saw any of that. And so I think it's interesting.
They never asked Ray J either. And me and Ray J was talking about it. We were like, I done been to the party, the after party, the after party. I never seen none of that stuff. Right. But that's not to say that it does not happen or invalidate people that, but I do think it's a different day that I'm just not invited to.
So I think it's very possible. And here's why. Because I've heard that before too from other celebrities. Firstly,
you spoke to them?
Okay, I saw a video of them talking, and they said we went to the parties, we never saw the freak offs. Firstly, A, is that true or not? We don't know. B, it's very possible on that kind of large scale property and large scale mansion with all those floors and the tunnels allegedly, to have freak offs or satanic rituals or whatever, pizza parties, all down below in a certain room where only certain celebrities have access at certain hours, at certain times. Like, sure, is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it possible for a party to be going on up at the pool and something else down in the tunnels happening simultaneously at 3 a.m.? Yeah, sure, that's possible. So, I mean, that's my theory. We don't have enough evidence to prove.
But Cassie hasn't said anything about that.
I know. I find that interesting. That's what I'm saying. I find that very interesting.
She never mentioned other women involved or anything like that.
Yeah, so I know all I'm saying right now is I find that interesting.
Yeah. I don't think he was involved the way that Epstein was involved. I don't. I think Epstein was.
Yeah, and just from the little that we know, and that's possible, but I think Diddy was way more involved in. We realized, even just from this civil action case that I, read through, there was a lot of information on that. And then all these other victims that, like Allie Carter, have been testifying, like they were basically, children were set out as party favors and centerpieces at these elite parties. I have no reason to disbelieve her on that. And so she, by the way, made a statement recently with her mom on camera asking Pam Bondi to unredact all the names. Allie Carter said, you can unredact my name if I'm listed in that, which was bold. Talk about bold. And she's like, I'll testify. If my name is on these Epstein files in the black book, unredact my name, I'll testify. She's like, this enough of like trying to protect the victims. We have voices and we want to speak. A lot of us want to speak, the ones that are still alive. And so, so I'm wanting victims to be given a voice, and I want all this stuff that's being buried to come to light. And I do think, my theory is that there is some, I don't know how the extent, I believe that there's a crossover between Diddy and Epstein. Because I think big Hollywood, big government, big media, I think these elite people that are all in these same social circles, there's a crossover. And there are a lot of photos that were scrubbed, and you know this, off of Instagram and TikTok of these celebrities that were in all their white outfits for the whatever white party that Diddy had.
Yeah.
And the freak offs, allegedly. And there were a ton of celebrities that were really excited to be at these parties, and then scrubbed all their accounts of all the photos. Well, of course, because there's a trial going on. It looked bad, but it's like, oh, that's interesting, and what do they know, and who's involved, and who's on what's the crossover between the Epstein list and the Diddy list, so I'm just really hoping a lot more information comes out.
I'm hoping that actual other victims who have been sexually abused or have been filmed or have been moved across state lines come across. You would think that they would lead with that, but we also have 6 more weeks. I think they said it wouldn't be done until July.
Yeah, and my question is, will there be another trial? Do we know? Because if Tony Busby said that there's all these cases and 100 victims that allege they were...
I guess this is just a big one for the human trafficking and racketeering. And did we ever figure out what racketeering was?
Yeah, it's like mob boss kind of crime.
Okay.
Like,
see,
yeah.
That's believable.
Yeah, and I think because in Rodney Jones's case, he alleged that there were like a lot of guns and drugs and drug smuggling and trafficking. So I just think that there's a lot more eyewitnesses. And of course, like if this was a crime drama or something, if this was a book we were reading, people would be threatened. They'd be being bought off or whatever to remain silent. So I'm like, okay, who's not talking and why? you know?
You know what I love about this podcast?
What?
You don't know anything about what any of the witnesses have said. You've talked about Jeffrey Epstein and
Yes,
Jones
I
and
think it's,
everybody
yeah.
else.
Okay. Well, tell me about some of the highlights of the witnesses.
I mean, there's nothing. Did you do your homework?
I did some of it. Yeah, I think I'm.
You did homework that didn't pertain to the trial.
It's all interconnected. I'm just saying, like your big names and like Tony Busby.
Yeah.
And Rodney Jones, and I just really don't think we're getting the information we ought to have. We ought to get.
I've just been like I said,
We're all underwhelmed.
We're underwhelmed. We're glad Cassie's gotten her story out and told her story, but the people they've called have not really had any bombshells or anything that I'd be like, oh, this is gonna fry him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Molotov cocktail and Kid Cudi's car, like you said, that already happened. We know about this. And I'm just going to say it. I feel like some of this is a distraction. Yeah. I feel like it's just a sideshow.
For what?
From the real facts and the things that are going on and who Diddy was in bed with and what he really was involved with. I feel like, come on, Faren, like, don't you feel like it's being buried to some extent? Like, just like the Epstein files, Pam Bondi was going to release the Epstein files, and once Trump got elected and blah, blah, blah. And we don't.
It's because Trump's name's on those files. That's why.
It's possible. It's possible. And so, I mean, I have a lot of questions myself, and I'm like, okay, so Pam Bondi was supposed to be this big hero, and all these people that, got appointed to these positions, and they're going to go, they were going to go after the FBI and all these people and the Epstein list, and they're going to get that list. And then people came out, holding up the supposed list, and everything is redacted. Did you see that? Like, all it's that feeling of seeing that Epstein list with everything just blacked through and redacted is what I'm feeling now with the Diddy case. That's how I feel right now. Like, it's just a sideshow. It's all fake. Like, where's the real information? Where are these other 100 victims that have these terrible human trafficking stories?
I mean, Cassie knew him intimately. 10 years. 10
Right.
years.
Right.
One person that she says was involved in the way that he was.
And I will say,
she said people were around and they saw it, but she didn't say they were involved.
So what we know is that there was supposedly hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage that Diddy liked filming these sexcapades, that he enjoyed filming it. We don't know if it was for his own personal gratification or if it was for blackmail, but we do know that some of these victims and witnesses like Cassie are saying, like, hey, they did threaten me, like, I'm going to show this freak off footage if you don't do X, Y, or Z. So there was coercion with this footage. So supposedly Diddy had a lot of footage, and the question is, where is it? Is it being talked about at all?
I know, that's why I don't know. They've got all the laptops, all the things. Like I said, they sent in like a buku amount of federal agents to swarm his home, and I'm just hoping that it all slowly comes out.
Yeah. And so hopefully it's not an Epstein black book issue where we can't even get the list, and now we can't even get the footage from Diddy's house. So I'm seeing similar patterns here. Like, the government has the list and they have the footage, supposedly, but all of a sudden they get their hands on it and we can't see anything. But it's coming, just like Epstein's list. It's gonna come on. It's coming out, guys. It's all coming out.
Well, no matter what, they needed a fall guy for something, and so they need. I think Diddy's the fall guy for something, whatever it is. I don't know.
That's actually a good point.
If they're not going to show us any of the what happened or names of people involved, I do know that they're like, well, Diddy's got to go down.
Yeah. And if that's really the case, if he's the fall guy, then they're not going to show that footage.
Well, I went into on our podcast about Diddy that we did like right when all this started coming out that he was being charged, is that it was BlackRock because he started
poking the bear,
saying, "Hey, I forgot what it was. It was about an alcohol, an alcohol that he owned, and that he was needing more money or something or whatever." And they were like,
"Weren't they a competitor or something?"
Yeah, a competitor of some sort, and he was really poking them and causing issues for them. And and so it was 50 Cent that said, I think that's what his downfall was the whole thing that went down with BlackRock.
Oh, wow. Well, BlackRock is massive. They own so that would make sense.
Yeah.
So I guess he was the fall guy. They're like, we're going to take him out, but we're going to save all the footage because we can't take down all these other people, you know, all of her friends.
All of my friends.
That would make more sense. That would make a lot of sense. And so they paint more of a story of like the prostitution and the domestic violence and slap him with these charges without releasing any big names.
I just Googled it and it says Diddy sues company behind his liquor brands for discrimination. So I think he sued them. And
that was
that's where
dumb.
things went down. Diageo.
That's right. We did cover that.
Diageo.
Yeah. That actually paints a better picture. Like that to me is more logical. Like, hey, we need to take Diddy out because he's poking us. He's really cocky. He's really arrogant, which he is. And because I said, like, what a dumb move. Like, that's so stupid. But then if you're that arrogant, you would do something like that.
Yeah.
You know? And so they're like, hey, we're just going to take him out. Maybe they tried to slap him on the wrist. Maybe he threatened them with footage. And they're like, hey, we're going to go collect the videos. Wink, wink. And then we're going to put you on the stand and get rid of you and shut you up and teach you a lesson.
Yeah, because he was going to go to court. And then he ended up dropping the case. Just ended up dropping the case.
Just like that.
Just like that. He went to everybody. He's talked about his issues and the racism that they had and discrimination, and then he dropped the case.
And then when you're saying who dropped the case?
Diddy.
Okay. Yeah. Against Diageo and BlackRock?
Well, it says Diddy settles racism lawsuit against Diageo. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he tried to back out and then too late.
I think I do think that it started with the whole Diageo thing.
Okay.
That's what kicked it off.
Okay. Was that the only thing?
But I also think when Cassie sued him and he was like, I ain't paying her anything, that set it off too.
Yeah, I think there were too many moving parts. He had gotten in so deep with so many issues and so many people. And
it just seemed like everything at once. So many things were happening at once.
Yeah. And like, you know, the attorney Tony Busby said, he said all these crimes that were done to all these victims spans across 20 years. And some of them were really young. And so he's done a lot of damage. There's like this little burn trail behind him, you know, not just the Molotov cocktail, but there's a lot. And I think when he started poking the bear and doing these things, they're like, oh, well, we'll just go pull one of these incidents and get rid of you.
Yeah.
Because you're a liability, maybe, you know?
It was bound to happen. You can't be that evil and that terrible for that long.
Well, I mean, you could. But
You could. You could.
we have Hillary Clinton who's still out there, so.
Lord, her. What is it? Her emails?
Yeah. Go down that trail. That's interesting. Yeah, but I do think everything to a certain extent like that up in that sphere is very interconnected. But I guess we'll see who's supposed to be coming next week. Do we know?
I don't know anything.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know anything of anybody that's coming. They usually only tell you like the day before.
Okay, well that's
they
smart.
haven't really said any. I guess in case a witness is intimidated. Or
Yeah,
something.
that makes a lot of sense. But what is interesting is that they had the victim number 3 who was supposed to testify who did not, and we didn't have a name last week. But supposedly this week they said it was an ex-girlfriend of Diddy.
I think it would just be another Cassie story.
Possibly, but I just find it interesting that she's no longer testifying.
Scared. She's probably getting intimidated.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, okay, what does she have to say and that she's not going to say at this point, you know? Yeah. So that was my one big question mark, like, you know, witness number 3, victim number 3, what kind of information did she have and why is it just because she's scared or has she been threatened? So I have a big question mark over that.
I want to see someone who he has not dated, someone who is a minor, who was a minor, I'm guessing they're grown up now, come on that stand.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to see.
Me too.
I don't want to know who she is, obviously. We want to protect her, you know, whatever, but I want to see someone get on that stand and say, this man raped me, this man trafficked me, this man sold me for other people, and these celebrities were involved in it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that too.
I don't think we'll see it happen.
I don't think we're going to see it happen because of everything we just stated, unfortunately, because I really think they would have led with that had they planned to.
I'm curious to see just what the prosecution, like, what is their end game here? Like, I don't... Right now, and there's a lot you could charge him with Cassie, but I don't know if you could charge him with, like, human trafficking.
Yeah, and supposedly, I mean, there were accusations of that, and there are a lot more victims. per Tony Busby. So, and it would make sense that he would be, whether he's particularly guilty of what they're saying he is or not, it would make sense that they would try to attack him and remove him. But his firm is still representing the 100 plus victims. Some of them are still coming in, even from Hollywood, California, or the California area. So I think there's going to be a lot more to see. So I think right now we just need to pray that that comes to light.
Yeah.
That's my hope. So. I know.
Underwhelming.
Yeah. And you know, I am going to throw this out there. I want to get your feedback on this.
Okay.
Like, do you think that Justin Bieber was potentially hurt, even like abused by Diddy, and is not talking?
Hard to say. I mean, we've seen Justin. I mean, I hate talking about him like this because, you know, he's getting punched around enough as it is, especially after his comment on Haley's Vogue.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, oh, Justin, you didn't need to do it.
But he's been struggling. He's been struggling for years.
He's really been going down. I noticed that since the Diddy thing happened, he's really gone down. And then now we know about his. I mean, this has nothing to do with Diddy trial, but we now know about his financial issues that's come to light with Justin Bieber. They had like a little hit piece from TMZ on him, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, he was around him a lot. He
at a young age too.
Even up until right before he was arrested, he was working on music with him. So
okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know either. I've seen some really weird looking, sketchy videos of him. Like, he's looking way too young at these parties with men looking way too old. And just the way that I'm just telling you, my intuition as a woman looking at that and it's like, something's off. And if he was hurt, I hope he becomes a voice in this trial. I really do. I really hope that he has the courage to do that. Because in the long run, he's not just representing himself. He's a voice for a lot of other people that were hurt. If that's the case, I hope that he does.
If he wasn't abused, I'm sure he saw things. For sure. Because he's pretty... I think he just needs to focus on getting him... he's a father now. He's...
Right. Well, yeah, it's not that you're not focusing on that. I understand, like, for victims that have kids and families that they don't want to come forward and testify because they just want to protect, they just want to have peace. And I do understand that. But I think that his story would be a huge bombshell. If he has something to say, I really hope and pray that he says it. Even if it's just like a written statement or something. I don't know fully how that works, but I mean, I would hope for something like that. But instead... of the...
You know who I want to know information
what?
on? TD Jakes.
Yeah. Faren, before any of that stuff came out, I had a bad feeling in my spirit about him. I just did. I was like, something...
since forever.
It did not shock me. I had a weird suspicion about him.
Of course you did.
I know. I was waiting for it to make that little face. But I was right. I was right. Oh, that happened. But instead of names like his and all the trafficking stuff, the news has been driving me crazy with this court case. Because we're talking about things like the Punisher and dogs and kittens getting hurt. And we're gonna insert
What are dogs and kittens?
Yeah, I just want to show you this clip, and I'm gonna show this clip of this news reporter and talking about the Diddy case, and like, this was the line, Kid Cudi's pet got hurt, and that really did it in for me. Yeah, here.
They heard a Grammy-winning artist who says Diddy torched his car, broke into his house, and left his dog traumatized. Yeah, now I'm mad. I'll tell you what, whenever a dog comes into the story, clearly, because I have Atlas, there's something about it. And I think a lot of us are the same. We get really angry whenever we think that a dog might not have been treated well, or a cat, or a pet of some kind. So, bringing the pet factor in, that had an effect on the courtroom.
Okay. That's a lot of what I've been seeing in the news.
Yeah,
really.
To tell you the truth, she procrastinates. I'm gonna be honest with you. She studied up like an hour, and I'm gonna be honest. That's anything that she studied up had nothing to do with this trial.
No, it's all involved. It's all interconnected, and the news is talking about dogs.
Conspiracy theories for you.
Okay. My turn. And the news is talking about dogs and kittens being hurt, and that's where they draw the line, not the
Remember that
alleged
time
sex
that Donald
trafficking
Trump
victims.
was like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
They were eating the dogs and the cats. It's facts. It's facts.
I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't know.
But if that's all we have is Molotov cocktails and, kittens and dogs being hurt like that, it's painful for me. It's painful. It's painful.
I feel bad for Diddy's daughters who've had to sit in. I think one day they literally left because it was whenever they were
Right.
talking about the in details of the freak offs. I think they did walk out.
Well, you know what? They shouldn't have been there.
No. I get it. They wanna be there for their dad,
But
but I don't think that they should for that type of
Isn't
stuff.
one kind of young, like 15, 16 years old?
I think two of them are twins and they're in high school.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, well, that says a lot that he would allow that to happen. But I highly doubt he was a good father.
But if we do a week 3 update, it won't be an update of what happened at the trial.
Let's talk about the dogs and the cats. That's where we draw the line. No, I think this is much larger. It's much deeper. It's very interconnected.
That we know. Yeah, that we know.
No, we are assuming those things, but it's not been testified in this trial yet.
No.
So, anyway. But yeah, we know.
To me, it feels like his relationship with Cassie is on trial.
Yep.
That's what it feels like.
Yep. Definitely. So.
And I think things that he did was illegal, but is it like racketeering? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll find more evidence. Hopefully, it piles up on week 3.
Yeah.
So,
but
we
if
have hope.
you were a juror on this trial and you know at least a majority of what the testimony was, what would you, if they said, "Hey, what is your verdict?" What would you say? Not knowing anything, just what these people have come on and told you.
Not knowing anything?
Yeah, just what these people have told you. These witnesses.
I mean, I'm a very logical, reasonable person. So, I mean, right now we have domestic violence. We have prostitution and coercion. So, I mean, there's no evidence right now of the alleged sex trafficking and all these other things, drugging minors, which was in this other civil case that we looked at. But so right now, I think it looks like he's guilty of domestic violence against Cassie and coercion for her and prostitution, paying prostitutes, for these freak offs and whatever they did down in the basement. So I think there's enough evidence so far of that, but I know that there's going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, right? I mean, what would you be thinking right now?
I just keep thinking we're still so early in it.
Yeah, it needs
then
more
I'm
evidence.
also like, gosh, you think he would lead with the big, like, Cassie was big. That was really, her testimony was big. But, yeah, I'm just hoping there's going to be actual victims outside of Cassie that comes on.
Yeah. So as of right now, like...
But it seems most of them have a civil case.
Yeah, and so, like, you asked, like, what my verdict or opinion would be. As of right now, he seems guilty of domestic violence and prostitution and things like that, but none of the big things yet. And you build a case brick by brick, and so we only have a few of those right now. Yeah. So I don't think it's enough to have a lifelong sentence. I don't know. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens.
There has been certain witnesses that have said he's done things that have made it seem like, hey, I'll come after you.
Yeah.
I'll come after you.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think,
for sure.
One of the sex escorts, I think last name, it was Daniel Phillips, I think was his name. He says he took a picture of my ID and he says, this is just in case.
Nice.
And he said I took that to be a threat of he'll find me if I do anything wrong or there's an issue. And then Kid Cudi, how do you say
Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi. I don't even know how you say his last name.
Yeah.
But the car could be anybody. It could be. So you don't know.
Yeah.
I do think it's Diddy. I'm pretty sure Diddy definitely torched his car for sure. So they're putting these seeds of doubt into the jurors' minds for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll come back after week 3 or 4 if we have enough information or evidence and things
Maybe
to
towards
talk
the
about.
end of it, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll wrap it up and we'll give our opinion, and hopefully by that point we'll have a lot more evidence and maybe celebrity names who are named and all of this. But we'll see.
Yeah, and the Epstein files should be leaked by then too.
Ha! We'll see about that. I don't think we'll ever see the light of that. We'll never see the light of day. I'm almost positive. So here we are.
Here we are.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. And until next time, on the Beat of Truth.
Make sure to like and subscribe and all the things.
Yeah, all the things.
We'll see you next time.
Next time.